Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Richenda van Leeuwen. I'm the Executive Director of Energy Access at the United Nations Foundation. I'm delighted to be joined here this afternoon by a great set of speakers who are going to be really talking this afternoon about what everyday life is like for somebody without access to energy and how we see and work with them to help improve their lives when they have access to energy. So I'm going to introduce the panel. On my right, first of all, is Princess Djigna, who is with Abzeila working in West Africa out of Burkina Faso. Harish Hande, who is the co-founder and managing director of SELCO in India, based in Karnataka in India. Radha, who is the president of the Global Alliance for Clean Cookstoves, which is focusing on delivering clean cooking technologies and fuels in many different parts of the world, and Katherine Lucey, who is the founder and CEO of Solar Sister, who's really focusing not only on delivering clean energy services and solutions to communities in East Africa, but also really focusing on empowering women as the entrepreneurs who are delivering those solutions as well. So Princess Djigna, I'd like to start with you and your work in Burkina Faso. Tell us a little bit about the life of the people that you're working with who perhaps don't have access to electricity and how your Mama Light helps to improve their lives.
Thank you, Richenda, for having me in the program. And this is my second time attending the Sustainable Energy for All. And I'm really happy to see again faces that I know from Clean Cookstoves, Solar Sisters, but it's your colleague that I met. Of course, in Burkina Faso, I'm coming from a landlocked developing country. As you know, that at the sunset, you don't have any light. Just an example, 1 week ago, I was in the countryside, 150 kilometers from Ouagadougou, that we don't have any electricity. To give, it was a donation from a school from the Netherlands to help other kids in this village. When I arrived, it's really, they don't have any light. I just was like, I bring the moon to them. And those little girls and boys having their exam with the next month, that they will have 4 months to, and some of them already, I got a phone call yesterday from the teacher that they could improve, and probably they will have 100% results. That I'm really happy with it. And that's how on the field, on daily basis, those actions that they do it.
Thank you very much. So education was one of the key themes that we heard about, helping children to be able to study in the evening, do their homework, and do better in school. So Harish, one of the things that we hear sometimes about small-scale lighting solutions for energy access is in fact that it's not really the development-focused intervention or solution. Tell us with SELCO, how do people's livelihoods and lives improve when you see them getting access to solar lighting for the first time?
No, I think in anything that people need to understand that even if you have to run a mile, you have to take the first step. And people realize that people don't realize that, always assume that people would have the same basic parts of electricity that any developed country or people in Delhi and Calcutta should have. But in many of the cases that we have done over the last 20 years, we have felt that the first intervention, whether it's a lighting for education or lighting for basic livelihoods, the increased number of hours in an evening basis from 6 to 10 o'clock, also in a different social perspective, as somebody said many years ago, you have no idea how it feels after a hard day's work, coming back to a house with kerosene, the mood that just dips. The bright light actually increases the mood and increases the positiveness in the family, which none of us can actually put up in an Excel sheet and define that in terms of economic value. That itself brings positiveness, and positiveness brings more ideas to the family. More ideas means more in terms of better quality of life or increased income. So those interventions are very critical. I think we should just not negate saying that an intervention is small or big, because a small intervention is much larger on a long-term basis.
So thank you very much. So really some of the tangible as well as the intangible benefits for families of getting lighting. Radha, you're focusing on a slightly different area. We know that millions of people die prematurely every year because of the pollution that's put out by using very traditional, unimproved cooking technologies and fuels. Tell us a little bit how the work that you're doing through the Global Alliance of Clean Cookstoves is helping families, households, women to really improve their health and maybe other aspects as well.
Sure. Yeah, you know, the best way to do this is to be able to picture the life of a woman sort of in a daily perspective. So, depending on where you are in the world, you know, a woman might get up really early in the morning to be able to go out and search for her fuel. So there are different sources of fuel in different areas, but she may go out to get any form of biomass. So it's, you know, wood, dung, leaves, etc., and to be able to bring that back and to burn as the fuel, so that she can, you know, prepare breakfast, lunch, you know, and then dinner for her family. When she does that in the very early hours of the day, she can put her own self at risk because she's going out often in the pre-dawn hours, it's dark, so there's safety issues there. But then as she comes back and cooks over a fairly inefficient stove, one, it takes a long time to prepare the meal, and second, the amount of smoke that's emitted from that is just completely unhealthy for her children, the rest of her family. And so what we do see is that a complete transformation, both in terms of, you know, individuals' health, the environment around them when they end up using a cleaner burning stove. And those are some of the more tangible aspects of fuel use. We see reductions in the rate of pneumonia, people just can breathe a little bit more easily in their homes, etc. But also some of the lighter side of things, where people say, my walls aren't black anymore. You know, I actually can have people, invite people to tea, to come over, you know, into my home, and we can have a conversation. So there are many different dimensions in terms of how it impacts someone's life, both from a health perspective, their own ability to have more time to be able to spend as they choose, whether it's with their children, whether it's working more, whether it's just for relaxation. So on the one hand, you think, gosh, can the stove really be that transformative? But from what we have seen, it really can be along a number of different ways.
And presumably, if fewer medical visits, the family saves money as well over a long time?
Yes, I mean, it's fewer medical visits for sure, because they're not getting as sick, so there's a cost and savings there. But also in many communities, people are buying their fuel. They're buying charcoal, they're buying kerosene. And so when you have a more efficient burning stove, you just use less of that fuel. And that also translates to very direct income enhancement and saving for the family.
So Katherine, tell us a little bit about the work that you've been doing in Uganda and across East Africa. And tell us a little bit about the women that you're working with in the communities, and then the women who are working with those women.
So with Solar Sister, we have the great privilege of working with women in their communities to bring clean energy access. These are entrepreneurs who are selling solar lamps, home systems, phone chargers, and clean cook stoves right to the doorstep where people need them the most. And what we see is the day-to-day changes. I love the word transformation that you've used, because it really does transform people's lives. Both the lives of the customers, the people who are now having access to a solar lamp and replacing a kerosene lamp, like one of our customers named Teddy, who prior to this had run a business out of her home where she was trying to sew uniforms for a school. But because she didn't have enough light, because she had to take care of her children, she had to go to the next town over in order to rent a room that had light in order to do her sewing at night. So when she bought a solar lamp and brought that home, that improved her business because she was able to work from home, not travel to the next town, not rent a room, not pay for electricity, and she had more time and the ability to make this business in her own home. And so her business tripled. She was brought in more income, and that in turn enabled her to send her own children to the very school where she sewed uniforms for children to go to school. And so you see this incredible ripple effect of something as simple as a light bulb changes lives. It really changes lives. And again, with our entrepreneurs, because we have women who are bringing these products to their communities and selling them, it's a business. And the women who make money by selling these products, it's a sustainable way to deliver the products in the community, and it brings these women economic opportunity that then they earn money that again goes into often education, improved household earnings for food, for more investment into business. And so you see this complete ripple effect of clean energy access and the business that surrounds clean energy access really improving women's lives, their families, and their communities.
So, Harish, you mentioned about you've got to start somewhere with getting solutions and helping people to access even basic lighting or improved lighting, and then working their way up from there. The World Bank has recently said that something like 1.1 billion people now still have no access to improved lighting, even they're using kerosene lights or candles, or sometimes they don't have any lighting at night. And something like 3 billion people are still cooking on using traditional biomass. So for a very poor person, isn't it difficult for them to afford these solutions? How do we as a sector, how do we as a community help them to be able to actually purchase these, or are you giving them away, or how do we provide these solutions to them?
I think the beauty of one is, yes, we have a problem that's of that magnitude, the numbers that you said, but I think that problem is also manifests lots of innovations in terms of solutions, because what you talked about is too social. There are, like, people are, if you look at the social ladder, there are multiple rungs, and you don't have basic lighting, you have education, health, etc., etc. But think of it, you also have a chance to relook at models of delivery here. For example, what we do is we look at affordable financing, and a lot of people actually today spend more on traditional fuels, whether it's the time that is taken to collect the wood. If they were actually earning an income stream somewhere, this time would be money. Today we need to create some other income stream for them to look at, and then the cook stove actually makes economic viability. Same thing in terms of solar water. The amount of money people spend on kerosene and candles over a period of 3 to 5 years is much more than what the solar light or anything. So what we should do is, how do you piggyback financing? And look at financing not about selling the product, but look at financing that people are getting access to reliable energy, but also becoming financially inclusive in the system. So what happens in the future is they not only get good services, but they become part of the larger financial system, which makes them accessible to money to actually get some more assets in the future. So we should look at sustainable energy as something that pushes people out of poverty by making them asset creators rather than just consumers. And that's the beauty of sustainable energy. Pushes people multiple rungs rather than just having one or two products.
And I think also, just to build on that, Richenda, your point about, poor people, shouldn't these products be given away to them for free? And I think what we've seen and learned quite clearly over multiple decades and in different countries is that, people want some choice. People want to be able to value, products that are provided to them. And so by just giving away products, it doesn't necessarily create that sense of interest, value, and usage of these products ultimately. So starting with a level of awareness and helping folks understand why they should be cooking differently or using different electrical products, etc. in their home, that's important. And then being able to help them understand, as Harish has just talked about, the long-term financial gain for themselves and how that would help the ripple effect that would help them sort of move up the socioeconomic ladder. Well, those types of things are incredibly important as well. And then sharing information on adequate sources of financing, whether it's through a microfinance loan or pay-as-you-go scheme. It all makes sense in terms of why they should allocate scarce resources that they've earned towards the purchase of some of these products. But I think just providing them for free, which is sort of the older model of development, if you will, we've seen just to be unsuccessful for those precise reasons. These products aren't valued, they're not used, and we don't have the ripple effect and the transformation effect that we think is possible.
So, Mr. Djigna, tell us about who's a typical customer for you. Who's buying this light? How do they buy it? And what kind of mechanisms do you use to help make it affordable for people?
Yeah, but I think that it has been said by the three panelists. Because the countryside people, they know they're ready to invest also on a good product. But quality is very important. Inclusive green growth. I think that the women, as in the part of the value chain, that they know that also the importance for them, that it's really, my customers, for instance, will just give you one concrete example on one of the village. That one lamp helped the mother to, after going to the farming in the evening, prepare her product to sell into the market. At the same time, the same place, her kids can make their homework. So that they optimize, and I can tell you that they increase their income within 3 months. Their life completely changed just with one lamp. And also that it helps against teenagers' pregnancy. That's something that one of the fathers told me. Say, yeah, but my little boy, he stays in the shop. That he's not hanging around looking back after girls. I said, okay, I didn't expect that. The people use it, and also due to the cultural when people pass away at night, if they're Muslim, they must bury that person. But the lamp also, they use that for that purpose, for funeral. That is really, they're really adapting the product and to their needs. And that's what always, I like to listen the bottom. When we go bottom up, it's very important. And also we need you for the top down, how to mobilize the funds. And I just will share a quote coming from one of the other villages that I'm working with the multifunctional platforms with UNDP. That the women say that I'm not advocating, I'm now for myself, but I know that it's difficult to mobilize money, that you should tell to those people. That is the message that should be given for you and Mr. Ban Ki-moon and Jim for the World Bank. I know that it's difficult to mobilize money, but if the next generation and after this generation, the benefit, I consider that I can. That's also sometimes in the Western world, in that the poor people, they're not able to think in the next generation. For instance, from in my culture, from the Mosi kingdoms, we always are thinking, whatever you do, you need to be sustainable in your thinking. Whatever action we do, we need to think on sustainability. That is really, it's part of our DNA. But I'm not saying that it's all part of Africa that it is, but it's something also that we can share with the rest of our network, for instance. And I'm very happy also to see what has been done in East Africa, because the culture is completely different. And also in India, I hope I will get the luck to go and visit my SELCO.
We are all the luck, don't worry.
Yeah. And that will be a very happy for that. And I'm sure that we have solutions that we can share. And that's what the practitioner network is for. And it's really good.
So the Energy Access Practitioner Network is part of Sustainable Energy for All, where we focus on working with entrepreneurs who are helping customers around the world get access to lighting and electricity. And it's a sister initiative of the Global Alliance for Clean Cookstoves, for those of you who are watching who maybe are hearing some of these words for the first time. So Katherine, tell us a little bit on the East African side. What are some of the impacts that women who you work with have told you about how their lives have changed? And is it the same for the men, or is there a specific impact that the women are telling you about?
So we focus primarily on women, with the idea that if we're not very deliberate and intentional about including women in this economy, this green energy economy that's developing, that they will be overlooked and they might be excluded from a very exciting economic opportunity. And so Solar Sister in particular reaches out to women to bring them into this economic opportunity. And we also do it because the women have a particular place in the home where they are the energy managers. It's women who collect the wood for the cook stove. It's women who go to market to buy the kerosene. And so as we're developing a market-based distribution system, we have to think about who is our customer. And our customer is that woman. And our customer is the one that we want to make sure that woman makes the decision that I want to buy a solar lamp instead of continue to buy kerosene week after week after week. And so that's where the women focus comes from. It's particularly on, that's who our customer is, and that's where our opportunity is. For the entrepreneurs who are women entrepreneurs, because we felt that reaching it out to the household and bringing the new technology right to the doorstep and bringing it across the threshold into the home, who better to do that than through a trusted friend, sister, cousin, neighbor, someone that can share with you how they use the product at their home and how it might benefit you in your home. The entrepreneurs themselves earn income, and it's exciting to see what happens to them in their with a bit of income. One story, a woman named Grace, who she and her husband have 10 children, and they are trying to raise their family and educate them. And by joining Solar Sister and becoming an entrepreneur, she was able to triple her family's income. And in doing so, able to send all of their children to school. And as she says, the boys and the girls. And she's been an entrepreneur with us for almost 4 years now. And her children, her two oldest children, are now attending university, substantially funded by the income that she has earned through Solar Sister. And so we see this incredibly direct impact on the family and through the children, through education. We know that it ripples out even to a new generation.
So we've been hearing a lot through the forum about development outcomes, and we've been linking, we've already heard in the panel discussion about education and health and environment and gender empowerment, which are all wrapped up as part of the new Sustainable Development Goals. But we're also hearing in the news at large about the terrible earthquakes, I should say earthquakes in Nepal recently, and some of the value of energy services that can help in disaster situations and humanitarian emergencies. And Radha, I just wondered if you wanted to say a little bit. I know that you're working in refugee camps to also help, and there's a safety element involved, particularly for women and girls. Tell us a little bit about how that works in a humanitarian setting.
Right. And you're right to point out the Nepal situation, because you've got families that now have lost everything, who don't have their homes to go back to, and are essentially living outside their homes. But you also have situations where there's conflict within a country, and therefore it causes large-scale displacement for individuals as well. And so in those circumstances, their source of energy is now different from what they were accustomed to before. And so being able to sort of identify what the fuel sources are, where they may be, and how to ensure sort of efficient use of those resources, that's a big part of what the Global Alliance does in these humanitarian settings, and ensures that energy is a factor that's addressed, just as water and sanitation and health issues are addressed in these humanitarian settings as well. There are a couple of other things that I would raise in the context of the humanitarian setting. You often have issues of host countries, as well as displaced populations, and some of the tension that can arise when resources aren't used sort of in the most efficient perspective as well. And so these are the kinds of things that we try and address together with UNHCR, World Food Program, and various of the aid and relief partners. And to your initial point, Richenda, if one thinks, going out in your own home, in your own communities early in the morning to collect fuel can be dangerous. It's particularly dangerous in an unfamiliar setting where you're not sure of the terrain, you have to walk great distances, and there is this tension sometimes between the host community and the humanitarian community. So these are all significant challenges that need to be addressed in order to ensure that the fuel and is available closer to those sites.
Can I add to one thing, because yes, I mean what happened in Nepal is absolutely a tragedy. But I also want to extend it. There's a continuous tragedy if you look at the poor. If you bifurcate the poor into three categories, and if you look at abject poverty, who don't come into the present realm of so-called markets, and we are unnecessarily forcing and creating the markets. But I think that's also a humanitarian crisis. How do you actually remove abject poverty? And sustainable energy can actually play a very critical role, whether it's health and education. And the danger, I just want to caution people that let's not bring the traditional concept of markets to that and use the same products and services that actually go towards disasters, also to that continuous disaster that we're having for centuries, and use sustainable energy to remove it once for all.
So really helping us to, in the quest to eliminate abject poverty
exactly.
everywhere, and really to bring the benefits of the lighting everywhere around the world. So just, we're going to be wrapping up in a couple of minutes, but maybe each of you just wants to give a last thought to help illuminate our discussion.
So from my point of view, I would just like to point out that for Sustainable Energy for All, that the final word, all, is inclusive of women as well. And that because women play such an important role in household energy access, that it's even more important to be thinking that women are a key to the solution of sustainable energy for all.
I would say that this is a particularly opportune year, 2015, where the world is looking at sustainable development goals for the next 15 years and looking to ensure that we have energy included and included within those goals going forward. Because what we've had in the past are good, small, I would say smaller and more pilot-related efforts. We now need to scale that up to a much more significant way to address the statistics you raised at the beginning of the session. The billion people who are living without electricity, the close to 3 billion people who are still cooking in traditional ways. So this is our time and this is the year to be able to really put this issue at the center of development and be able to scale that going forward.
Richenda, we keep saying that this is the best way to look at getting poverty eradicated in a truly fashion, in a timely manner. And the best part is using sustainable energy to remove poverty is the added benefit is the solutions to climate. We don't have to focus on climate change, but we are getting the added benefit. Where else can you actually do that?
Oh, for me, it's sustainable energy for all. It's really resilience. Just was in Sendai. We heard about the Sendai for disaster risk reduction. So what we talk all about is about resilience, and we need to be human-centered. Sustainable energy for all is all about human, and light also, it's part of human rights, and we might go beyond illumination, because electrification, of course, has a starting point. We have the light that we will follow, but we hope to create together a safe life, a resilient life that will bring economic growth. If we bring economic growth, we will reach our goal and be in a safe environment. That's really, and education is key. All is about education. If all of our kids, we make them native, environmental, sensitive, and human-centered, I think that would be good.
What a wonderful place to end on. Thank you so much all for joining us. Thank you for watching today. And thank you for all the work that we're doing together to get towards sustainable energy for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.